Freud already knew you recreate your childhood without realizing it. Are you living trying to change the ending of an old story? Look, I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Have you ever found yourself in the same type of toxic relationship over and over again? Or maybe you keep choosing jobs with the same kind of controlling boss? Perhaps you always end up being the one who gives everything in friendships but gets nothing back. If you nodded your head to any of this, congratulations, you've just met one of Freud's most powerful and unsettling discoveries. Repetition compulsion. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button if you want to understand your mind and explore what Freud uncovered about why we do what we do. Like, share, and hit the bell, because this is going to get deep. What is repetition compulsion? You know when you watch a movie and the character keeps making the same mistake over and over, and you're screaming at the screen, "Don't do it again." Well, that character is you. That character is all of us. Freud called this repetition compulsion, and it's basically your unconscious mind's twisted way of trying to rewrite history. It's when your psyche keeps putting you in situations that feel familiar, even when they're painful, because deep down, you're trying to fix something that went wrong a long time ago. Think of it like this. Imagine your mind is a Netflix algorithm, but instead of suggesting movies you'll enjoy, it keeps recommending the same traumatic episode from your childhood, hoping that this time you'll get it right. The psychology behind it. Here's where it gets fascinating and a little heartbreaking. Freud discovered that we don't just repeat patterns randomly. We repeat them because our unconscious believes it can finally master an old trauma. Let's say you grew up with a parent who was emotionally unavailable, cold, distant, never quite giving you the love you needed. Your child brain didn't think, "Oh, this person has their own issues." No, your child brain thought, "If I just try harder, if I'm just good enough, I can make them love me." Fast forward 20 years, and what do? You keep choosing emotionally unavailable partners, not because you're a masochist, but because your unconscious is still that little kid thinking, "This time, I'll be good enough. This time, I'll make them love me." It's like your mind is stuck in an eternal video game, replaying the same level over and over, convinced that eventually you'll beat the boss that represents your childhood wound. Why we do this to ourselves? Now you might be thinking, "That's insane. Why would my mind do something so destructive?" You're right, it is insane. But here's the thing, your unconscious isn't trying to hurt you, it's trying to help you. But it's using a very primitive, very flawed strategy. Freud realized that the compulsion to repeat serves three psychological functions. First, it's about mastery. Your unconscious believes that by recreating similar situations, you can finally gain control over something that once left you feeling powerless. Second, it's about familiarity. Even painful patterns feel safer than the unknown. Your psyche would rather deal with a familiar pain than risk a new type of hurt. Third, it's about hope. Deep down, you're always hoping that this time will be different, that this person will finally give you what you needed all along. Real life examples. Let me give you some examples that will make this crystal clear. The workaholic's trap. Sarah grew up with parents who only showed approval when she achieved something. Love was conditional on performance. Now, at 35, she's burning out at every job because she keeps choosing demanding bosses who treat her exactly like her parents did, withholding recognition until she nearly kills herself working. The people pleaser cycle. Mike's mother was depressed throughout his childhood. He learned that his job was to keep everyone happy, that his worth came from making others feel better. Now he's in his third relationship with someone who takes and takes while he gives and gives, wondering why he always attracts takers. The abandonment loop. Lisa's father left when she was 7. Her unconscious learned that love equals abandonment. So what does she do? She keeps choosing partners who are emotionally unavailable or commitment phobic. When they inevitably leave, her unconscious goes, "See, I knew it, but maybe the next one will stay." The comfort of familiar pain. Here's something that might blow your mind. We often choose familiar pain over unfamiliar pleasure. Why? Because familiar pain feels like home. Think about it like this. Imagine you grew up in a house where everyone screamed at each other. That chaos, that tension, that's your baseline for normal. Now imagine someone comes into your life who's calm, consistent, and loving. Your unconscious might actually reject that person because they feel boring or too good to be true. It's like your psyche has developed a taste for emotional junk food. Healthy relationships might feel bland compared to the intensity of dysfunctional ones. How this shows up in modern life in today's world. Repetition compulsion has found new playgrounds. Dating apps. You swipe right on the same type of person over and over, wondering why you keep attracting the same kind of relationship. Social media. You keep getting into the same arguments with the same type of people. Recreating childhood conflicts in the comment section. Career choices. You job hop, but somehow always end up in the same type of toxic workplace culture. Friendships. You keep being the one who organizes everything, who remembers everyone's birthday, who gives emotional support but rarely receives it. The unconscious time machine. Freud had this brilliant insight. For the unconscious, time doesn't exist. Your unconscious doesn't know that you're 30, 40, or 50 years old. It's still operating from the perspective of your wounded child self. So when you're 35 and your boss criticizes your work, your unconscious doesn't think, "This is professional feedback from a colleague." It thinks, "Mom, Dad is disappointed in me again. I need to try harder to be good enough." When your partner needs space, your unconscious doesn't think, "This person needs some alone time." It thinks, "They're leaving me just like Dad did." This is why we often have completely irrational reactions to seemingly small events. It's not really about what just happened. It's about what happened 20 years ago. Breaking the pattern. Now, here's the million-dollar question. How do you break free from this cycle? First, awareness. You have to recognize the pattern. Start asking yourself, what does this situation remind me of? When did I first feel this way? What am I trying to fix or prove? Second, feel the feelings. Instead of immediately jumping into action to fix the situation, sit with the discomfort. What emotions are coming up? What does your body feel like? What's the story you're telling yourself? Third, grieve the original wound. This is hard, but necessary. You have to mourn the fact that you didn't get what you needed as a child. You have to accept that you can't go back and change the past. Fourth, choose differently. Once you're aware of the pattern, you can start making different choices. This feels terrifying at first because it means stepping into the unknown. The healing process. Freud believed that healing happens through what he called working through, repeatedly encountering the same conflicts until you can finally resolve them differently. But here's the key. You can't heal in isolation. You need what Freud called a corrective emotional experience, a relationship where you can practice new patterns safely. This might be with a therapist, a trusted friend, or a healthy romantic partner. The point is to have someone who can hold space for your old patterns without getting hooked into them. Why this matters. Understanding repetition compulsion isn't just academic, it's life-changing. When you realize that you're not broken, you're not unlucky, you're not destined to repeat the same mistakes forever, you're just human. Trying to heal old wounds, everything shifts. You start to have compassion for yourself. You realize that your patterns made sense given what you experienced. And most importantly, you realize that you have the power to choose differently. A personal note. Here's something Freud himself would have appreciated. He wasn't immune to this pattern either. He had his own repetition compulsions, his own ways of recreating childhood dynamics. The difference was that he became aware of them and used that awareness to help others. That's the gift of psychology. Not perfection, but awareness. Not the elimination of all problems, but the ability to recognize patterns and choose responses rather than react from old wounds. So, what did you think? Does this make sense? Can you see your own patterns in what we've discussed today? Remember, recognizing repetition compulsion isn't about blaming your parents or wallowing in your past. It's about understanding why you do what you do so you can start doing something different. The next time you find yourself in a familiar situation, whether it's a relationship, a job, or even just an argument, ask yourself, what am I trying to fix? What old story am I trying to rewrite? Your unconscious might be stuck in the past, but your conscious mind lives in the present, and that's where your power lies. Comment below and tell me, what pattern do you keep repeating that you don't understand? I read every single comment, and who knows, your question might inspire the next video. If this helped you understand yourself a little better, smash that like button, share with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more insights into the fascinating world of your mind. Until next time, remember, you're not broken, you're just human, and being human means having the capacity to heal, to grow, and to choose differently. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.